Look at that poor woman. She was just torched by a maniac terrorist. Look at that smoke. Awful. In the beautiful Boulder, Colorado. Have you ever been there? I was a long time ago. It is one of the most pretty, perfect cities ever. Some people know it from, what was that show again? Mork and Mindy? Anyway, what we saw there was absolutely terrible. And fortunately, nobody was killed. What is the injury toll at this point? I think we're at 12. 12 people were torched by a maniac with a homemade flamethrower. And this is the guy, we think. Let's see him do his thing. Him. And I think we hear him say a bunch of weird stuff, too.
We're here. We can't do nothing about that. We can't do nothing.
We can.
Not here.
Not
here, bro.
You're not.
I'm taking video right now. He was wearing an orange suit with like something on his back.
Spraying alcohol.
But what he did was he made it look like.
Yeah, he's saying free Palestine, all the normal junk for these crazy people. Who is he? Who is this individual? Well, he's an illegal alien, first of all. Here illegally, got in during the Biden administration, an Egyptian citizen by the name of Mohammed Salman. How about that? Here illegally, came under Biden, still here. Reminds me of somebody else. Not entirely, but a couple of weeks ago in Washington, D.C., you remember this? Free Palestine. There we have it again. This is basically a mantra for terrorists. This individual, who I believe was a citizen, but let me put his name up. Let's get his name up, if you don't mind. Name Elias Rodriguez. Elias Rodriguez. So we got Elias Rodriguez and Mohammed Salman, right? Two guys, domestic terror in not a very short period of time. Remember, for 4 years, they told us day in and day out, and they told their own government what to look out for. It wasn't anti-Semites like those two. It was, remember, sounds, it's so preposterous, but it was, people believed it, white supremacy.
We're confronting the stains of what remains a deep stain on the soul of the nation. Hate and white supremacy. And the violent, deadly insurrection on the Capitol 9 months ago, it was about white supremacy.
Terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today. Not ISIS, not Al-Qaeda, white supremacists. Focus on how to deal with the rise of white supremacy. We know now we must confront and defeat political extremism, white supremacy, and domestic terrorism. We've taken steps to acknowledge and address systemic racism and the scourge of white supremacy in our own country.
Well, you say that over and over again, and the government starts to believe it. Police departments are paid to try to root out white supremacy that did not exist and forget the real kind of terrorism that we're supposed to worry about because it's a real threat. We don't have the bandwidth to waste time about fantasies and phantoms for political action. Anyway, so this happens in Boulder, Colorado, and a couple of hours later, some like-minded individuals with the same kind of spirit attacked, well, these two guys. One is a former congressman, the other is the Secretary of the Navy.
And figure out how, if I really want to bring about change and bring about a more adaptable culture.
You don't want these maniacs to get close to the Secretary of the Navy right now. He's got a big job, Secretary Fallon, and he's sitting right there. And so is a guy named Mike Gallagher, the former congressman we were talking about. It got me thinking about Mike Gallagher. I don't like him. Now, he said something which was arguably the thing to say, but not really.
How wonderful
Mr. Secretary, to live in a country where people are allowed to speak their mind, ask questions of their governments, because in fact, the adversaries we're up against, whether they're the genocidal communists in Beijing or the Salafi jihadists in the Middle East, don't allow such luxuries of their own citizens.
All right, actually, it's not a good thing. You can speak online, you can speak outside, but you can't storm a private event and put you and the actual Secretary of the Navy right now at potential risk. That is not a good thing. Secretary Phelan, from what I hear, he's doing a great job. He's a friend of Carl Higbee's, by the way. All right, back to Gallagher. You guys should be in Congress right now. He left Congress when we had like a one-vote majority, right? When the sane people had a one-vote majority, and like so many members of Congress, a great big giant ham.
My family first came to Northeast Wisconsin 7 generations ago in 1845. Family taught me the value of hard work, of service to community, of service to country.
I'm not buying it. I'm not. It's like something they told them to say in a campaign ad. This stuff really works well. I'm very, very skeptical, and I think I have very good reason.
I felt I owed an enormous debt of gratitude to my family, to this community in Northeast Wisconsin, to everyone that helped raise me and all the experiences I had, and I wanted to pay back a debt I felt I owed, and I just felt that if I looked back and I didn't do my part, that I would regret it. We need people who will step up and serve. We need leaders. We need leaders who are ready to fight every single day to protect our rights.
He doesn't care about that old lady. Maybe he does, but he's got that look in his eyes. It's all about him, like it is for most members of Congress, the Senate, the whole damn lot of them. One more.
Finding common sense, local solutions to ensure clean, healthy water. It's our duty to pass on our heritage to the next generation, because these waters run deep within all of us.
Wisconsin's Mike Gallagher.
Who looks around like that? Like he's modeling for a coin, right? They'll put me on the back of a quarter. There's a lot. And of course, what happened? What after the Northeast Wisconsin people actually trusted this guy? What did he do?
More bad news for Speaker Johnson today, because Republican Congressman Mike Gallagher from Wisconsin, one of the party's rising stars, who had already announced that he wasn't going to run for re-election, he's got a wife and young kids, he announced that he's actually resigning imminently. His last day will be on April 19th. April 19th, the term ends January 2nd. Yeah, he left Congress. Now, the guy said, oh, he's got a wife and kid, but the wife and kid, that's beautiful, but that's one of the reasons why he said we should vote for him, right? The family routine. These people are fundamentally flawed. There's something wrong with them on both sides, by the way.
I'm Mikey Sherrill. I know the world feels like it is on fire right now, but I was trained in the Navy that in a crisis, you run toward the fight. So I'm running for governor to defend the state we love, to drive down costs for housing, healthcare, and utilities, to protect everything from your Social Security to our fundamental freedoms, to stand up to Trump and Musk with all I've got. I'm Mikey Sherrill. I've spent my life fighting for you and your family, and I am not stopping now.
They think they're like rock stars or something like that. What a cheesy, look at me, aren't I great? I don't think Mikey and the other Mike, the man Mike, are interested in legislating, oversight, because that takes a lot of work. It's drudgery. A lot of these people in Congress are in it for the glory, and that wears off pretty quick, so then they're in it for the money. Gallagher left to work for, basically, a great big arms contractor, arms dealer. All right, but maybe you should have not told us you were such a swell guy. Now, there's a theory. It doesn't apply to Sherrill or Gallagher, but about members of Congress in general, because they do some pretty oddball things. We like Tim Burkett, right? The Republican, Tennessee. He has a theory about all this stuff.
Too many of my colleagues, I'm afraid, are compromised in this area for whatever reason. Somebody's whispered in their ear, said, hey, you don't want something to come out on something else. You better keep your mouth shut on this.
How about that? You know, what did he say exactly? It was too many of my colleagues, I'm afraid, are compromised in this area. For whatever reason, somebody's whispered in their ear, hey, you don't want something to come out on something else. You better keep your mouth shut on this. He's basically talking about honeypot stuff or money stuff, and most members of Congress are compromised. I tend to believe it. I mean, how do we explain Chuck Schumer?
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you.
You know, I got excited today. I heard that there was progress in the investigation into Chuck Schumer, but apparently not. The case is closed. He threatened 2 Supreme Court justices, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, right? And that is absolutely, positively against the law. You can't do that. Not only, he seemed pleased with himself when he was threatening these guys. Oh, the crowd. He's like Mr. Burns. He's like, he just was eating it up, saying horrible, wild things. The crowd goes wild. What we just heard right there is basically 1 trillion times worse than anything Donald Trump has ever tweeted or said. This is it. They tell us it's the opposite. Remember, they told us Joe Biden is a good man and he's full of empathy, right? Yeah. I've been reviewing some footage from this past week. Joe had a Memorial Day event that wasn't quite on Memorial Day, a couple of days later, but it went a little bit like this.
Our troops don't wear a uniform that says I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. It says I'm an American. I'm an American. That's who I am. I'm serious about this. I'm not joking.
Does he seem still pretty mad? I guess he's got a lot to be mad about. Let's face it. He doesn't have many friends these days. Next, please.
The fact is that I don't think if I had come from any other state that would have happened. But in Delaware, everybody knows everybody. And it's important. It's important because, you know, we had that expression for the longest time. We do things the Delaware way.
All right. Okay. And whatever. The Delaware way, I think, is buzz for the corrupt way. Give me another one.
Support our veterans with more, not less. I get really angry when I hear about veterans are seeking too much. They're not enough.
Yeah, it makes people in the audience feel weird. Is he yelling at us? Did we not do enough for the veterans? And then, of course, there was a lot of Bo. But this is the thing that really kind of creeped me out, and I bet it creeped out the young lady. It creeps me out even more so. He invades a young woman's space, and no one makes mention of it. It's just like it didn't happen.
So I feel like everybody expects. I've done it all because I'm loyal. I do it every damn year. At the very beginning. Never forget my team.
All right, that was strange, but I couldn't make out everything he said, so I had to find out who was that person and what TV station. Turns out it was ABC6 out of Philadelphia. Found the report. Now we see it from the reporter's perspective, and it's really, really bad.
When I asked why he came to this event, President Biden gave a passionate response.
Because I'm loyal. I do it every damn year from the very beginning. I never forget where I came from. That's why.
He's angry and mean and weird, and who does that?